Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. It's a feeling now. Hit 'em high, hit 'em low, 'cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got, 'cause we're ready.
This is the Piffles podcast, your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast. And yeah, we're ready. Week 1 of the CFL season is here, and we have, I'm looking at our show lineup that we have. There's so much we're going to talk about.
It just kept on adding on to it. We thought we knew what we're talking about, and then more stuff kept on happening, and more stuff kept on happening.
Oh,
The
and by
downside,
the way,
nobody wants to listen to a 2-hour podcast.
No. Well, it's a good thing we're not live, because that would just be bad. We should never go live, ever.
Our live numbers would, I don't know, 24, you think, maybe?
Might be able to do 25 if we're lucky. Depends on how many times people hit refresh. Anyway, this is your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast, the Piffles podcast. You can give us a follow on X at Piffles Pod. You can give me a follow at Real Alex D.
You can find me at Safamud.
And as always, I do not need nor want your pity follows at Greg on Sports.
You got a couple pity mentions though. I was
did.
proud.
I did. I no, like I enough pity people. Enough of it. All I want is admiration and respect.
Ooh. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I make no promises on that.
Dang it. All right.
Check us out on Facebook as well. Of course, the website, pifflespodcast.com. Lots of stuff going up there all the time. Thanks for watching on YouTube or SaskTel Max TV on demand. Welcome. Thank you very much. And thanks for downloading and listening on your favorite podcast platform. Piffles Podcast, of course, is brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina. Well, going into this week, I wasn't expecting to talk about a new logo, CFL Top 50, a halftime show for Grey Cup. But that's all the stuff we're putting on the back burner. Like, there's so much to get to. Let's jump right to it. Time for the opening kickoff. All right, so let's start this with being no, I was looking for a really bad segue. It would have been bad, so I found it, I guess. We'll talk jerseys, okay? Obsidian, Greg, get your little dinger ready. I know you have it ready to go. Greg was right. Riders unveiled their alternate logo and jersey. For anyone who's been paying attention to the Piffles podcast over the last couple of years, especially this offseason, we've talked a lot about marketing and branding, a rebrand, refresh, and we finally got it. And I'm wearing the logo. Steve's wearing the logo. Greg,
I missed the memo, apparently.
We got to talk about these things before. But the Riders released their new Obsidian and alternate logo, a darker green, not quite black, but it'll look close to black on the jerseys at games. So for people like me who want a black jersey, this is as close as it's going to get. But I think it looks great. And the more I look at this logo, the more I enjoy it, the more I like it. I liked it when it was, officially released. And first off, what are your guys' initial thoughts on this dropping last Thursday evening? Like, it was at like 6:30 or 7 o'clock, and just out of nowhere, hey, we have a new logo.
I'm actually impressed on how quiet they kept the announcement, because they actually invited some local, I guess, influencers, for lack of a better term. And the fact that we are not local influencers kind of breaks my heart.
And yet it's very accurate.
I guess I need to get on the TikToks and start learning some dances.
Yeah, we don't
Don't.
critique food on TikTok. That's why we didn't get invited there.
But yeah, so the fact that they kept it that quiet, then all of a sudden, it was 6 o'clock? It went live online. It was pretty wild that they did it, and about time, I guess, considering if I've known about it for almost 2 years and what was happening with it. Obviously, other people were in the know, but it's awesome. It looks a lot better than I did. They made a few minor tweaks, which I like, and I can't wait to see these things in action.
Like we saw this logo coming out of the focus group, and this was the idea. And honestly, at first, when it was just a focus group idea, I hated it. I thought it was going to look ridiculous. I didn't like the two color or the two tone S. It just seemed childish to me. But when they released it, when you pair it, especially with the helmet, that helmet, I want that. Like I hope they sell replica versions of that helmet, because it is, maybe we can become influenced with this, but it's straight fire. Like that's just they knocked that out of the park.
Man,
Sorry, I've been listening to my 12-year-old too much. I don't understand anything of what the new generation says. My kid
do we have a
talks to me all the
Scribbity
time.
Riz? Is that what it is? Is Scribbity Riz?
Riz,
Yeah.
W Riz is the term.
Yeah.
Steve's got the drip, I think.
Yeah. I only know this because one of my kids' friends once told me I had W Riz, and then they laughed, which is about accurate, I think. So.
Well, that's okay. I'm going to tie an onion to my belt, which is the style at the time, because that's how I feel right now.
Good to get the Simpsons
5
reference
Bs
out
for a
early
quarter.
today.
Yeah, 5 Bs for a quarter, they'd say. But no, obviously, like I was telling you guys off mic, I went to the Red Sox game the other night, and there was a ton of this merchandise already in the wild. Like, Alex, you were at the first day of sales. What'd you see?
Well, I went the Friday morning. I had Friday off work, so I was like, okay, well, the Rider store opens at 10. I'll go there right at 10. Got there at about 10 to 5 to something like that, and the doors were already open, and there was already 10, 20 people inside the store. And so I went in. I knew the products I was looking for because when they released it, I checked online, and the Rider store website had, I think it was like 40 products at the time. I was like, okay, wow, you have quite a bit. I saw a couple things I liked. That's what I'm going to go for. And I want to get there early and just, start off my day with that. And like I've said, if you make a nice logo, you can have my money. And that's exactly what I did. But it was busy in there. And then after, I was maybe in there for about 20 minutes because I also got my MVP jersey, which I'm getting sent away for stitching. Number 45, of course. AJ Ouellette's going on that bad boy. But just more and more people came in, and it was jerseys. It was got to get a shirt and a long sleeve and a hoodie. And like, it wasn't just one or two things people were walking out with. Like, they were grabbing by the handfuls. And the marketing team and Craig Reynolds, I know, looking at the amount of sales coming in, must have been pretty happy, because I heard Friday, just the whole day, it was stupid busy inside the store. I'm not sure what it was like in Saskatoon at the store there, but at the stadium, it was quite busy. And it seems like people generally really like this logo. If it's that busy after not really having kind of a lead up launch to this, just dropping it and then the next day it's available, people seem to like it. And I think it's going to do really, really well for the team in terms of marketing and sales.
The success of this jersey will be very dependent on how well they play in it the first time they wear it. If they win that game and they win it in convincing fashion, they are going to sell so much merch that night and the next day that they won't be able to keep this logo in stock.
Friend of the show, Rob Van Stone, pointed out that the Riders are 7-2 in their black jerseys. So if that's an indication of how they're going to play in a darker shade of jersey here, that's pretty good. So if they can, exercise their demons of beating Winnipeg at home or something like that, or Toronto in the first game. No, sorry, it's Winnipeg. They play in the green as the color game. I remember back in the early to mid 2000s, the Riders could not beat Montreal. It didn't matter. They got blown out almost every single time. Then they wore that black jersey. They kicked the crap out of them, and it was awesome. So if that's something that can happen here against Winnipeg on July 19th, yeah, I'll be pretty happy about that.
Can I just say how awesome this logo and jersey and color scheme would have looked if they would have done the damn lights out game that they've done for the last few years? That should have been the other game they rocked this jersey in. Just that fluorescent green on the helmet and the dark black or dark green jersey would have been fantastic. I'm I will rage about the lack of lights out game all season, but that one just angers me the most.
All right. Well, Greg, I know you have some things about this jersey and the color schemes and whatnot you want to talk about, but do you want to save that for a separate video? Because I know you or an article. 'Cause I know you
do.
want
I just tried writing something, and then I got a little in the weeds, so to speak. So it was too long to write. So unless someone really wants a giant 10-minute read, I'm going to do a video. It's going to be much shorter than that. But yeah, I'm going to break down what they did, some changes since the original focus group, and some things that I would have done differently. It is very good, but there's definitely some minor tweaks I think would look a little bit better. And of course, I got my crayons out, so I have examples.
All right. So you'll have that come out soon. But in the meantime, I think it's only good that we have something to give away. So on our X Piffles Pod winner's choice, we got a nice little hooded long sleeve, same one Steve's wearing actually.
It's the exact same one. I'm sending you this one. No,
that one. Yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully you like the way that the Old Spice, Steve?
High karate.
Under or axe spray is more my style.
All right. Got a t-shirt, same one I'm wearing, but a bigger one. So it won't be this exact one. I'll give you a new one. Or a long sleeve as well. So it's winner's choice. And you know what? Let's give something away right now. I got this all ready to go. Let me just bring up the screen here. There we go. So we got all these entries in here, 130 plus from just X alone. We're going to have this for Facebook as well too. So don't fret about that. But let's give this a little shuffle and we'll give away a piece of Rider Obsidian merch to someone here. So shuffle it a few times. We'll hit spin and we'll see who goes away with some Rider gear.
God, the helmet even looks fire in the middle of the spinning wheel.
What do we got here? So that's the username is Ty Luffer 17. I hope I got that right. But if not, either way, we will contact you. You have just won some Rider Obsidian merchandise, your choice, and we'll get that out to you as soon as we can. I just got to hit the button there. There we go. So, new jerseys, new logo. I'm happy. The team also released a jersey schedule as well. They'll wear the Obsidians on July 19th for the green as the color game, but also for the last game of the year, October 26th, the fan appreciation, which it'll be dark out for that game pretty early. So we'll get to see what they really look like in the lights there. The retros will be Throwback Thursday on July 4th and Labor Day, which we all knew. And then the regular logo, the Shield logo, is going to be all the other games. So, but the Riders weren't the only ones that came out with new jerseys. And I use the word new like it's new, but it's not. The Ottawa Red Blacks have their 10-year anniversary jerseys. And I think they found them all in the Calgary Stampeders bargain bin because
can I
they
point
look
something out? It's their 11th anniversary.
Yeah, but it's their 10th season.
No, it's not. It's their 11th season. Their first season was 2014. This would be their 11th season.
2020 though.
Okay, if you want to go that way, it's still dumb though.
Yeah.
Don't call it your 10th anniversary.
Everything about that is dumb.
Ottawa. It's Ottawa.
Yeah.
Everything they do is dumb. But anyway, looks like they found these jerseys in the Stamps bargain bin from a few years ago because they're just the black jerseys with the red and white stripes.
So I was figuring this out because the racing stripes, like, thank God the Riders made those things popular again because everyone's got one now.
Edmonton's going to be doing those.
Edmonton's releasing one tomorrow. It's going to be green and gold racing stripes. The only two teams that don't have a racing stripe jersey right now, BC and Toronto. Oh, I guess Hamilton doesn't right now. Sorry. But, sorry, 3 teams. So, yeah, six of the 9 teams have racing stripe jerseys.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's new anymore. You can't be original anymore because everything's been done.
they wanted to do this honor to the Rough Riders team. Go with the horizontal stripes. That jersey would have looked really good if they just would have done the horizontal stripes across the sleeve. Like, why complicate it?
Out of all the jerseys I've ever seen, these are definitely some of them. There's nothing new. There's nothing exciting. They're just like you said. They're Calgary Stampeders. It's like if you ordered the Calgary Stampeders jerseys on Wish. Just nothing to them. I will say that Ottawa has done a fairly solid job, despite being garbage on the field, of marketing their team off the field. This might be their first real miss. So they're in mid-season form already.
My favorite part is they leave this jersey by themselves during their schedule release.
Yes, yeah.
And then acted like it was a big deal that they released it today. It's like, yeah, we've already known about this.
We've seen this months ago. But 3 new jerseys coming out. The Rider one, the Red Blacks one, and the Elks one coming out. I'm sure throughout the year we'll probably get some other ones because New Era was supposed to be redoing a whole bunch of the team stuff this year. So might be more. I'm not sure.
I think everyone's got 3 now, at least. Winnipeg's got theirs. Hamilton has their hammer. Montreal came out with their red jersey last year after their contest like 5 years ago.
Well, maybe that's it.
then,
maybe all the jerseys are done now.
Yeah, the only one that everyone's got one now. Yeah, the gunmetal out in BC. So I think everyone's got one now. So maybe someone's changing. Who knows? I guess Toronto's the only one that doesn't right now because they just released new ones last year.
All right. Well, jumping back to the Riders anyway. So that was just the one thing. That was the Thursday, was the logo and the jersey release. There was also, I don't know, the cuts that had to get made last week as training camps ended. So I'm surprised we actually found out as early as we did on Saturday what the roster moves were. So I'm not going to go through the huge list. You can find that pifflespodcast.com, obviously. Riderville, everybody's seen it by now. But the major ones on the cut list include Mason Fine and Antonio Pipkin, and also Braden Linnaeus. But I was really intrigued by what Jeremy O'Day said about Linnaeus, is that they hadn't quite closed the door on him yet. They're going to keep tabs on him and his injury. I think that really means if one of our Canadians get hurt and he's available, we'll give him a call if he's good to go. But was there... Before we get to the surprises, let's talk quarterback 2, Mason Fine, obviously getting the cut, and Shea Patterson winning the QB2. I think the 3 of us were pretty happy about that based off what we saw from media, but also in the preseason games.
Anybody with eyes should have seen that coming. There was no comparison between the two based on performance. I think there might have actually been a riot if Mason Fine was kept over Shea Patterson.
I was kind of waiting for that to happen, honestly.
I think if the former head coach is still around, they would have found a way to take 4 quarterbacks, and it would have been Fine and Patterson, and it would have been a gong show. But it
would have been there too somehow.
Yeah, we would have kept 5 quarterbacks somehow. But
5
like
people make a bowling team.
The Pin Pals. Like we said last week, like Fine was as advertised. He was fine. Patterson definitely showed that he wanted the job a little more this year, and hopefully he can evolve into that quarterback, because we are still dealing with a older quarterback coming off an injury. So whoever our number 2 is has to be good to go. I'm still praying for the health of Trevor Harris every day, but I'm a little more comfortable with Patterson back there than Fine.
The only thing that surprised me was that they released both Pipkin and Mason Fine. I figured they would keep one of them around as that emergency practice roster guy, because you don't know what you've got in live game film with Shea Patterson. And at least with one of them, you have some legitimate starting experience. Not good starting experience, but starting experience nonetheless. It was the right call. It just shocked me that they made it.
I have a sneaking suspicion, God forbid Trevor Harris goes down early in the season, one of those guys is going to be on speed dial.
Mason.
I don't see the market, like I don't see another team scrambling to go sign Pipkin or Fine right now.
And it was really interesting, though, Corey Mace, what he had to say about the number 2 position, about Shea Patterson winning it, said, and I got the quote here, we allowed him to do a little bit more, gave him more opportunity, and he ran away with that. He does have the ability to create from the quarterback position. That's important to have on the roster. It's a unique skill set to that position. Obviously, he can move around a little bit better than Mason Fine can. Fine's more of a, I don't want to say pure pocket passer, but he's more of a pocket passer, not a huge runner. And then Mace said they were pretty tight neck and neck through the majority of camp, but we felt Shea really set himself above. That was probably the number 1 position we looked at with a magnifying glass. We felt we made the right decision. So I think for the first time possibly in Saskatchewan Rough Rider history, the fans are on board with the coach on a quarterback decision for the first time. I don't think it's been so like this unanimous. And I mean, it definitely wasn't back in like 2004.
No, definitely
Elon
wasn't
Green
back
and
then.
Henry Burris, or 2005, the year after when they
2008, that quarterback carousel. Like I think the most anyone's ever been unanimous, Rider Nation's ever been unanimous on a quarterback pulling Michael Bishop out of that playoff game to put Darian in.
I've never been more mad at this team than that game, ever. I've had moments where I've been mad, and just like the Spurgeon win to G. Roy Simon touchdown in 2004 to screw us out of a home playoff game. I was mad then. I'm still not over that 20 years later. But that game, the 2008 home playoff game, I remember fourth quarter just being so mad. And of course, being in section 27, everybody's standing up, right? I sat down. I didn't watch it. I was so mad. I'm like, no, I'm not standing up. I'm not watching this. This is just garbage. So I had no idea Darian Durant came in until the end when everybody started cheering. And I was like, oh, what the hell? Did they score? And then I look, I'm like, oh, they brought in their quarterback.
Oh, Grandpa Kenny, your love for Michael Bishop, I'll never understand.
I still feel like that was a directive coming from up above.
But it could have been too.
Just me. But back to the Riders roster. So we talk quarterbacks here. Any other surprises for the cuts that you guys had?
I mean, I think everybody was surprised when Braden Lenius's name was announced, but I don't think if you look at his history and his health as a whole, we should be all that surprised. Like, keep tabs on him in the tub, or keep tabs on his injury should be the title of his autobiography. That's where he's spent the majority of his CFL career, is in the nurse's office. It sucks because he's clearly had the talent. He just could never stay healthy long enough to perform on the field, and he's been surpassed. And honestly, with the draft that they had, guys like Aju stepped up and jumped in there. He became expendable and a surprise only in name. If you look at the stats, we shouldn't be.
I think a lot of fans were. He was a good community guy. He was, and yeah, he was always one of those guys. You're like, oh yeah, Lenius is playing. Like his NFL cup of coffee. Like the potential was always there, but yeah, it's very hard to be on the team when you're in the tub. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those. We'll monitor you. Picton goes down, KSB goes down, because KSB has a bit of an injury history. So, like, he needs to make sure he takes care of himself. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Lenius here by Labor Day if there is a major injury, especially in the Canadian receiver spot.
Well, and if they do plan on going with, may not be off the start of the season, but at some point, 3 Canadian receivers, they'll need the depth for that. So good guy to have on speed dial. But I can't see him coming back, like you said, just before Labor Day, unless something major happens. Guys that I wanted to see make the team, Dante Myers. added to the practice roster. Keyshawn Johnson winning the starting receiver spot, seemingly. So guys that we wanted to make the team did make the team. Guys that impressed in training camp. Sorry, Steve, Geronimo Allison didn't make the cut. So no Cheesehead.
I said it was coming. I'll save the Cheesehead for a legitimate starter down the road. It'll happen one day.
And Frankie Hickson, a bit of a surprise in the sense that he's just on the practice roster. Got jumped by Clint Rakovich.
I mean, I wanted that to happen. I called for that as a decision. I didn't think they would do it. I thought with Hickson having the lightning to Willette's thunder that we'd have that 2-part running back, but clearly they like Ratkovich as an all-around back more than what Hickson had to offer. And honestly, he showed it in preseason. He looked like the best back we had, Willette included, although AJ had very, very limited opportunities. So we won't sell him short quite yet.
Yeah, anytime Ratkovich touched the ball, he made something happen. So nothing against Frankie, but I think they're going to see what they've got with Ratkovich, and I think that Hickson to PR is more a paper transaction than anything. I think he's going to be on the roster sooner than later anyways.
Well, we'll know by Friday kind of what the roster actually will look like when they have to release their depth chart for the game against Edmonton. Because looking at the number of names on the list, they still need to stash about 6 or 7 guys on an injured list somewhere, mostly probably the 1 week or the 1 game injured list. But there's definitely some moves that still need to be made, especially with the addition of defensive back Marcus Sales, who was a bit of a surprise cut out of BC. J.O. picked up the phone, basically got him right away. So that was great to have him in. Former All-Star in the defensive backfield joining the team. So,
and he said there's 3 teams that called him right away, and he came here because he wanted to win.
Yeah. So a lot of trust being put in that defensive coaching for sure.
The head coach must have a lot of faith in the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, something like that. But also Marcus Sales, and we might talk about this a little bit later on with the secondary. Amari Henderson, he's been limited in practice and didn't really do much of anything in training camp, of course, coming off injury from last year. He's a big question mark right now. So you have a guy with like Marcus Sales who can come in, not be in training camp with you, and start game 1. The guy's a vet, so I don't think it'd be too far-fetched to see Marcus Sales in the starting lineup this week.
And with a guy like Sales too, like we've got a fairly young defensive backfield there. A guy like Sales as an all-star commands immediate respect and leadership. So I think it's a good signing. I'm excited by it, actually.
And honestly, if there's any position on the field that you can throw a guy in with limited time with the playbook, it is defensive back. There's not that there's not a lot to the position, but it's a position that you can basically learn on the fly with the roster. I see no reason why he doesn't start week 1.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that week 1 game against Edmonton in just a little bit. But this is all about predictions and picks this week with what we're going to do. So let's get a couple of them out of the way right now. We'll focus on the rider stuff right now for picks. Let's predict the Rider Award winners. So I'll throw the award category out there. You tell me who's going to win it for the Riders. We'll start with the most outstanding player.
Trevor Harrison's quarterback award.
I'm going to go Keon Schaefer-Baker. I'm going to go bold right off the bat.
All right. Well, I had a couple backup options just in case you guys took mine. Neither of you took mine. Sean Bain Jr. I think he's just ready to explode again after last year, and looking forward to see what he can do as kind of the 1A of this team.
See, you just want your own Alex was right ding.
Yeah, I need the shirt.
But here's my problem with though, and this is the way the CFL awards always go. The quarterback gets the nomination the first year, And then the next year is when the receiver gets all the, well, maybe it's not just the quarterback.
They should
So-
really just have a quarterback of the year award, and then just same thing with the NFL, right? You can't tell me back in 2014 the MVP wasn't JJ Watt when he had 20 and a half sacks and 3 offensive touchdowns, 2 defensive touchdowns. And they gave it to Aaron Rodgers, who 38 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, good year, but come on. Defensive players scoring on a fade route, no less. Scoring touchdowns on fades. Come on.
That is 4-time MVP Aaron Rodgers. Put some respect on his. No, he's crazy. Don't do that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He won 1 Super Bowl. All right. Defensive player of the year. Who's going to be the stud for the Riders on D?
Jameer Thurman.
Damn it. That was who I had.
I'm gonna go Anthony Lanier.
All right. And I'm going to go with CJ Revis.
Backup option, Marcus Sales. How great would that be?
He might be one of the guys in the one of the ones coming up in a little bit. Offensive line. I think we're
I know who
probably
Greg's gonna pick.
the same
Berlin.
guy. Yeah.
I don't think we need to pick different ones on this
What?
one. This one's obvious.
I had him as my number 3 because I knew you would take him.
No, there you go.
I'm gonna take the obvious choice, Jamarcus Hardrick.
Damn it, that was my other guy.
Actually, that's actually a very good choice as well.
I kind of want to say Trevor Reed, but I'm going to go with Peter Godber because I'm going to use Trevor Reed for something else. Rookie of the year.
Joe, sorry. Number 80. He's got a real number.
He's got a real number. Yep.
He's a real boy. No. Malik Straker.
Ooh.
Actually, I like the way he plays.
All right. I'm going to go with Keyshawn Johnson, receiver. Canadian.
I mean, Keon Schaefer Baker. If he's my most outstanding player, he's probably going to be the
Probably
best
has to
Canadian
win
on
that.
the team
Yeah.
too.
That's the easy one. Actually, I'm going to say Brett Lothar.
I'm surprised.
God,
you
I
guys-
hope not.
He can be the
No
special
offense
teams
to
guy.
Mr. Lothar, but if our kicker is our most outstanding Canadian, we're looking at a 3rd straight year with no playoffs.
All right, perfect. Give me 1,000-yard man, Sam Emelis, then.
I didn't even think of Emelis.
He's
Special
the
team.
guy that just constantly sneaks in under the radar, despite
Mhm.
being an absolute stud last year.
Special teams.
I guess I made my bet with Lothar.
I got to go with Mario Alford. He's gonna come in pissed after people wrote him off as a potential cut.
Part of me wants to say Brett Lothar for here, but I'm going to go with Malik Straker. I think the guy's just an absolute beast on special teams, and he's going to turn into something good. And it'd be nice to see a team reward, cover guys instead of a kicker. So I'm going to go with Straker. This one here is interesting to me because it's not going to be it's not an actual award that's given out, but to me, these are the guys that make the team and help you win championships. Who is going to be the unsung hero for the Riders this year? May not put up the best stats, may not, make an all-star team, but a guy who's just going to make plays when needed and help this team win.
Micah Johnson. No question.
I've got 2, but because it's a position, I think our Canadian safety is going to be very important this year. So set me up for Dalkey or Jackson Ford. I think they're one of them is going to take that step this year.
All right. I'm going to go with a guy whose name you're not going to hear a lot this year. I really hope not anyway, which means he's doing his job. And that's the left tackle, Trevor Reed. This team needs to find that blindside guy to just dominate. Hopefully Trevor Reed's the guy. So I got to go with him as the unsung hero of the year. Keep Trevor Harris healthy.
But I would like to point out the unsung hero every year is always Jorgen Hughes, because if you don't have a decent long snapper, you're screwed.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people still have no idea who he is, and that's not a bad thing. That's not like any disrespect to him whatsoever. That's the ultimate sign of respect, is that your long snapper's there, and he's a demon on covers as well too. Like
Yeah, he is.
He's down there. He's one of the first guys down there. So
Got a fumble recovery last year.
that's right. I thought he was going to return that actually for a touchdown.
We can hope.
All right. Well, there's some picks there. We're going to get to some as well in a little bit. But that is the opening kickoff presented by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty. Let's jump to our Churchill Brewing Company odds and end zones, where we take a look around the CFL, and something we weren't expecting to happen this week until Matt Baker of the BC Lions, their head of communication, said, "Hey, by the way, we're going to announce our Grey Cup halftime show this week." So they did, and it's the Jonas Brothers, which this is going to shock you guys because you guys know my love for boy bands. I know nothing about these guys. I couldn't tell you one song they sing.
I know one was in a movie with The Rock, 2 movies with The Rock.
One's married to Priyanka. I know that.
And one used to be
that's
married.
The same one, that's the same one that was in the movie with The Rock.
Is it? Oh, cool. Neat.
Yeah.
The fact that
The
you
more
don't
you
know anything about these guys tells me that the league made the right choice. We are
Absolutely.
not their target demo. The middle-aged, God, we've gotten old, but the middle-aged male category,
Middle eight. Whoa.
dude. Look
How
at your
early
hairline.
do you
Settle
expect
down.
me to die, Steve?
Easy.
Jeez.
I know I called you like the fake slotback 18 last week. Come on.
Just revenge. But we're the we got our category last year. We got Green Day. This is the year they go after the younger and potentially the female demographic. These guys will get people to buy tickets. They are big around the world. I know maybe one of their songs, which again tells me they made the right call. I'm actually excited for it. I want to see what they do. I like the decision.
Huge get.
Huge get. Like a little behind the scenes, because we kind of were getting hints of who it could be, and I'm like, because the Jonas Brothers were coming off a world tour. I'm like, is it the Jonas or like one of the Jonases? I thought they got one. Like we legit got Florida Georgia radius, and like we didn't even get a whole line. Like we just got a part of it. I'm like, well, maybe they got one Jonas. Like maybe they got the Jonas that, is not the guy in the movie. It's not the guy with his own signal. Maybe they got the other Jonas. But no, they got all 3. So good for BC. But this is the earliest they've ever announced a Grey Cup opening, I guess, for a halftime show. By like 2 months. Shania was 100 days before. This is 160 days.
Well, and they made it coincide with tickets going on sale to the general public, not just ticket holders of the CFL. So obviously made a big deal out of this, deservedly so. And these guys are huge. Like I know they did. I don't know if they're currently touring, but they did another world tour when they, got back together a couple of years ago. And even 5 years ago, probably the biggest names on the planet at the time. So the fact that they were able to get them is a huge win for the CFL.
I can see Steve's hearing the thunder too. I just look.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Yeah, but no, actually, their current world tour ends October 18th. I want to say, because when
they got a month then.
Yeah, so like I said, when we were like talking, like, well, is it the Jonases? I looked up. I'm like, are they even touring? And like, yeah, they're done in October. So yeah, they'll be practiced and ready to go.
And we're seeing in BC for their home opener what a good band can do for instant ticket sales. They're expecting over 50,000 people to the regular season home opener for 50 cents. Now, I don't expect the same pull for Grey Cup. You're getting a quick 10-minute set, and you have to sit through the first half of the game first, which, let's be real, a bunch of people that are going to the Lions game are going to leave as soon as 50 Cent walks off stage. Not all of them, but some. But that's tickets sold. And this is a ticket market that they haven't touched since probably Bieber at the 100th Grey Cup. Like that's the thing is it's been very consistently rock country, rock country, rock country. There hasn't been that, you know,
Pop.
female demographic artist.
Alessia
in
Cara
quite
was
some
probably
time.
Alessia
Yep.
Cara was probably the closest, and then but that had the exact reaction we knew it was going to be.
Yeah.
So bad.
So anyway, kudos to the CFL. Again, these guys aren't my jam, but I know it's doesn't matter because they're going to have my attention during the Grey Cup game anyway. So if they can get more eyes on the game, then it's worth it. So love that they're
Especially
getting
when the Riders
huge,
are in it.
huge names. So yeah. All right. Do we want to do top 50 or do you want to get this Chad Kelly thing over with?
Get it over with.
All right. Chad Kelly lawsuit has been settled to the satisfaction of all parties with I don't even know what to say. Like this basically just admits guilt and here's your money that you were looking for without admitting guilt.
All this does is it gets it over before game one,
Which
and
is
they
what
have
the league wants.
9, and then they have 9 weeks before Chad comes back, and then at that point they go, that was 9 weeks ago. We're just going to concentrate on football. Because if they would have drugged this out during the season, it would have been way worse.
Yep.
Honestly, the fact that it was settled tells me that the team didn't want this coming out. Didn't want the facts of this case coming out in any sense. They just wanted this to be over with. It is over with. I'm glad that she at least got whatever she was looking for in compensation. Part of me wishes that she would have been able to really get the facts out there. So we know more than what the independent investigation came out with, but that was damning enough. There was enough in there that we know this is legitimate. It had to be settled. It had to be done with. Now we know for a fact August 22nd, Chad Kelly is going to be under center against the Riders. There's especially with the report that he's also doing the necessary counseling and everything that goes along with it. This is going to be nothing more than a 9-week suspension, and they're going to try and sweep it under the rug. I did, however, have somebody.
No, go ahead. Finish.
I did have somebody on messaging ask me what about the other people involved? What about John Murphy or anybody within the Argos organization? Is there going to be anything further to come from this with them?
Nope.
And there should be. But the fact that it's been settled and there won't be any more public discussion about what happened tells me that they're going to just under the rug sweep this away and try and ignore it.
Oh, 100%. It's going to be everything has been legally satisfied. We cannot talk about it. There's been there's an NDA, there's whatever. We can no longer talk to it due to legal blah 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 blah. And they're going to move on, and John Murphy keeps on getting a paycheck despite being a not great human being.
Yeah.
The fact that he got a paycheck after the East final debacle
From
tells me there's nothing that he can do that will get him removed from that organization. That the fact that they welcome him back with open arms after throwing punches and the slur that he used on camera tells me that he's their golden boy. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, as far as MLSE is concerned, it's over. It's done with. And hopefully they'll coach up pinball a little bit better the next time they put him up in front of the media. But
the next time Chad Kelly does something stupid,
which could be any day, really.
I was going to say, we just set a clock. Like,
anyway,
what I'm really hoping for is Cameron Dukes to light the league on fire. Like, I hope he actually has an MOP style year, and then they just cut Chad, and then who am I kidding? Some team will sign him.
Oh, someone will sign him. Absolutely. I hope Cameron Dukes does well, but I wanted that to be in Riderville in 2025. So Maybe we'll see. Anyway, Chad Kelly, whatever. I'm done with it. It's I hate the saying, but it is what it is. And as far as legalities go, it's done with now.
It's been legally settled. You may not like it.
Yeah, there's still bad PR, but I don't think they care about the PR of it right now. They clearly haven't over the last couple months. So Steve and I will be there to boo Chad Kelly on August 22nd in Toronto.
I will not.
Oh, and boo we shall.
Maybe we'll FaceTime you during the game, Greg.
Just pull me up on FaceTime, and I will gladly boo with you.
Perfect. We'll do that. And Chad Kelly was on the top 50 this year. Pretty high up there. The CFL top 50.
Lower than he probably should have been. Because okay, we'll get there.
As far as MOP goes, yeah, probably should be number one, just based off that, right? CFL top 50 got dropped on Tuesday. It's the top 50 players going into 2024. It's not based off, or it's supposed to not be based off everything from 2023, but it's going into 2024. Number one was Zach Collaros. It's the third straight year. I wouldn't have put him as number one. I wouldn't have put him that garbage.
Top 5, maybe.
Sure,
maybe.
5.
From June to October, absolutely number one.
Yeah. Like I said, MOP was what, 5? Like Kelly was 5, right?
Yep.
The Vegas favorite to win MOP was 3. The most outstanding player on his team, who should be on his team, was number 2. Like, when did we do this revisionist history that Zach Collaros is the best quarterback in this league?
Well, he won back-to-back MOPs. And if you ask anybody in Winnipeg, he should have won 3 in a row, despite not being the best player on his team last year. Not even close. That was Brady Oliveira's team.
Zach Collaros has done very well in the last 5 years, not including COVID season, for being on a very good team where he just needs to be better than okay. He's always had a strong running back. He's always had a strong defense. And Winnipeg, as much as I hate them, have very good receivers. Nick Dembski, as much as I joked about him not being a 1,000-yard receiver until he finally became one.
Now he is. Yeah.
Now he is. He always had that potential. He has always had Kenny Lawler. He always had Schoen. He had Weston Dresser. He's had very good players around him. And this year, they're finally getting old. I like Zach Collaros, but this entire mythology that he's always been this great quarterback is not true. I'm sorry, it's not.
And looking at that list, the Bombers have 3 of the top 4 players on the top 50 and 4 of the top 10. While I don't disagree with any of them being, I think Willie in the top 10 at this point is iffy, but I question the voting on this, because that's, I don't know. The first rider is AJ Ouellette at 13.
I'm very curious on what Willie's season is going to look like this year without Jeffcoat on that line.
I mean, he's still going to put up decent numbers. But Willie Jefferson wreaks havoc on a game without putting up stats.
Oh, yeah, he's a freak of an athlete. Don't get me wrong. But when you don't have Jackson Jeffcoat on that line as well, he's going to need a lot more double teams, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah. Collaros was number 1, Brady Oliveira number 2, Vernon Adams Jr. was 3. Honestly, based off last year, he probably could have been number 1. And then Dalton Schoen was number 4, the highest receiver. For the riders, the list started out well with 2 riders, opening up at number 50 and number 49 with Sean Bain Jr. and Anthony Lanier. Jameer Thurman was number 35. Trevor Harris was 33. Jamarcus Hardrick, 21, and AJ Ouellette at 13. And actually, I got to give a shout out to Rider Fan 2024 on Rider Fans Forum. He says that's 6 players, which is up from 3 players who were on that list last year. And it's funny because the 3 that they added in free agency are those extra 3. So it's just kind of funny to me that really only 3 players from the team last year, but when you're 6-12, that shouldn't be that surprising. What's surprising to me, though, is no Sam Amelis on this list. The best Canadian receiver in the league last year, and he's not on this list? Are you kidding me?
He absolutely belongs on there. There's no question. I mean, I'd put him right next to Nick Dembski for where he belongs in this league. Top 25, let alone top 50. To see him off the list and to see Sean Bain Jr. at 50, both of those are ridiculous to say the least.
Problem with these lists is everybody gives too much credit to what people have done years in the past leading up to this year. No, it should be about the now. That's what this list should be about. The top 50 players right now, not what they've done over the course of a career. You can have another list for that. But anyway, Sam Amelis not being on there. That's the only thing that really bothers me about it. Because otherwise, I don't really care about these lists, to be honest. They're just opportunity for people to talk CFL, which is great, but doesn't really mean anything.
I know a few guys that voted on this, obviously. But there's obvious some people that don't watch the CFL as closely as they should. Like don't get me wrong, I would love a vote on this list because I've got questions about some of these guys, how high they ended up. I know of a Winnipeg reporter that had Claros as 8. He didn't even make the top 5. So when Winnipeg's own reporters are going, that tells you all you need to know. Like, how is Eugene Lewis at 16?
I mean, dude's pretty good.
He's good, but I mean,
considering what they had, considering what Edmonton trotted out at receiver or at quarterback last year, he's one of the top guys in the league.
Yes, he's got a better quarterback this year, but at 16, I don't know.
Oh, and McLeod Bethel Thompson even being on the list? Based off what? He wasn't around last year.
Well, remember, it's not based on what happened
last year.
Yeah, it's about this year.
Honestly, I would have put McLeod Bethel Thompson higher up on the list based on what he's done. I think so. I think he comes in and has a legitimate shot to be a top 5 quarterback in the league. He might need to be traded to make that happen because Edmonton's going to be a dumpster fire, but well, maybe not. Year 3 of a Chris Jones.
Okay, well,
rebuild.
Let's segue that into our standings predictions. Get back to some picks and predictions here. Is Edmonton going to be a dumpster fire? Because we put out on Monday our standings predictions on pifflespodcast.com. The interesting thing is that we all had the same team in first in the West and the East, and we had the same last place team in both divisions as well, too. We all had BC at first in the West, Calgary last in the West, Montreal first in the East, and Ottawa last in the East. Is Edmonton really going to be a dumpster fire? Are they going to finish 4th, or is this a Chris Jones rebuild where they do make the playoffs? What do you guys think there?
If they're making playoffs, it's a crossover. Based on BC, Winnipeg, and Saskatchewan, I think all 3 teams are better constructed than what Edmonton has right now. Yes, MBT coming in is a massive upgrade at quarterback, but Edmonton is Edmonton, as proven by the preseason game, and I understand that it's preseason and no one cares. There's still gaps there.
We're going to learn everything we need to know about the Edmonton Elks week 1. We're going to know what kind of team they're going to be. If they're going to be a well-coached, legitimate team in the West because you cannot skate by in the West without solid coaching. We saw that last year. We had a decently constructed team and a coach who just wanted to be everybody's best friend. And it led to 0 wins after Labor Day. If this team can put it all together and Chris Jones can put it together, like we've seen him do in the past, they will be better than next year. Or than last they won't be better than next year. They will be better than last year. No question in my mind. I don't see them as a playoff team yet, but I see them making legitimate strides to getting there.
All right, you guys both had Edmonton in 4th in the West, missing the playoffs. I had them 3rd in the West, making the playoffs. And this will jump into our bold predictions because mine is based off the standings here. I had Edmonton as 3rd in the West, winning a tiebreaker at 9-9 over the 9-9 Winnipeg Blue Bombers. My bold take for the CFL season, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers miss the playoffs. We all expect them to drop down a little bit, just being another year older with the same core, and other teams around them, especially in the West, getting a little bit better, narrowing that gap. I think this is the year that Zach Claros misses a little bit of time, and Chris Stiefler gets a good chunk of games. You know, he hates it when I do that. But to your satisfaction, Steve, he will show us exactly what he is as a quarterback. And they will not win a lot of games with him. Winnipeg misses the playoffs. So there's my bold prediction of the CFL season. Can you guys top that?
I think I can. Despite what my standings predictions say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say after winning the last 5 off seasons, the Ottawa Red Blacks finally do it in the regular season and not only make the playoffs, they get a home playoff game.
So what you're doing is you're being bold, but it's contingent, so that if the standings are right, you're still right.
Great, isn't it? It's fantastic.
That's garbage.
See, the thing is, I've had time to think about it since we released our standings, and if I wrote them today, I would flip them around.
You're
see
just gonna
Toronto
say
falling
everything.
farther back.
You're just going to say I'm going to call you RP from now on. If you're just going to start throwing things at the wall and one of them is going to be right and you're going to take credit for it. Like, come on,
No,
man.
I'm adding to it. I'm saying if I could go back and do my standings predictions again from yesterday, I've had time to think about it. I would move Ottawa up and Toronto down. And I don't know what Hamilton is.
And you'd
I don't
have to
think
move
anybody
Hamilton
really
down
knows what
because you had
Hamilton
Hamilton at 10-8.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I regret that. I might be too bold in saying the home playoff game. That might be a touch too far. But I'm gonna stick to it. I think it happens, but that might be the bold part of it. But I think they make the playoffs for sure, and I'd love to see a home playoff game. Their fans deserve it. They've had a struggle in their 10 years with their one Grey Cup win, and
we like having fun with Ottawa.
They barely can count the years they've had a team. Are we?
The good news is we know they're at least going to get 2 points in the standings with their 2 ties over Calgary. So they're already partway there.
And start Dustin Crum against Winnipeg, so that should be 2 wins right there.
My boldest pick. I'm not going to mess with my standings. Riders going to be in the Grey Cup. I have them coming in at 3rd, and the only reason why they're in 3rd is because Winnipeg wins the tiebreaker. But I think they're going to do the reverse what Winnipeg did to us in 2019. We're going to go to Princess Auto Stadium, beat them on their field, and go to Grey Cup. Will they win it? Don't know, but I think they're going to be in the game.
All right. Well, I like that. I would like to see them in the Grey Cup game. Which leads us, and I'm sure you did this on purpose, into our final prediction of the year. Who wins the Grey Cup? So, Greg, you have the Riders in the Grey Cup. Who do they face and who wins?
We avenge 2009 and 2010.
Oh, how would a Cody
I'm good with
Fajardo versus Saskatchewan Grey Cup be? That would be entertaining to say the least.
That'd be fun.
I'm trying to remember who I had in third in the West. You go ahead, Alex. Give me a second while I think about this one.
Oh, I have it in front of me. You had Winnipeg at 10-8.
I'm gonna go off a little bit here. I'm gonna say Saskatchewan over Toronto, and go my typical homer pick. I think the Riders have done. They've put a team together. I think the coaching takes them over the top, and I want to see Winnipeg suffer. So they missed. I hope they miss the playoffs. I hope your bold prediction is dead on.
So this is your third place Toronto Argonauts, who are now going to be below
Oh yeah,
the Ottawa Red Blacks.
Red Blacks and
so
not
that
make the
means Toronto's
playoffs.
going to miss the playoffs.
you know
and
what? Let
somehow
me fix
lose
that.
the Grey Cup game.
Saskatchewan versus Ottawa, Battle of the Rough Riders.
I'm gonna start calling you Stoddy.
You know what they should? You know what? Next time, if it ever happens, and it's Saskatchewan and Ottawa in the Grey Cup, it has to be Rough Riders on a pole match. Like whoever
On a
can grab the
ladder
name
match.
Rough Riders, yeah, off the top turnbuckle or something like that, a contract.
Just hang it off the top of the goalpost.
Yeah, just the words Rough Riders are sitting there, and you can have the choice whether there's a space in between or not. Winner gets the name forever.
I like it. As long as we win. Could you imagine the outrage if we had to change our name? Good Lord.
Just call. They can go by the Green Whites.
Better have an S in it.
Well, it all gets started this week with the Riders.
What's your pick, Alex?
Oh, mine. I didn't say mine.
No.
Sorry. I have.
Oh no, yeah, he didn't say his
Yeah. I think this is the year. Well, I'll start out in the East. I think Montreal gets in because they're the best of the East right now. Like it's not even close to me right now, especially with who knows what Toronto's going to be like without Corey Mace, and who's going to be their quarterback. Is it Chad Kelly? Is it going to be Cameron Dukes? I don't know. But I have them losing to the BC Lions. I think this is the year that Vernon Adams Jr. really does take that final step in his career. Last year was the first year that he really proved himself as a top tier guy, and he finally got the opportunity and he ran away with it. And he was the MOP for the first 10 games of the year. Like he was unbelievable. I think that team's ready to go. I think he's coached up so well with Jordan Maximic, offense coordinator. And I think this is the year that they can, they don't have to worry about BC in the playoffs Winnipeg in the playoffs, because Winnipeg's not going to make it. So
I don't think
BC,
there's a CFL fan out there that would be upset to see Vernon Adams lifting the Grey Cup over his head.
He's such a good dude, man.
He might be one of the few universally loved guys out there. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say anything bad about him as a human being, which is rare.
He's been on like half the league. That's why.
Well, what I
the
like
worst part is he's a good quarterback. He's never got a shot.
Yeah, what I like about Vernon Adams is his accountability. Going back to college, where he what was it? Accepted laptops and sold them. Back when NIL deals weren't allowed and you weren't technically allowed to be given anything by your school. Blah blah blah. Which wink wink we know happens all the time. But he owned up to it. Yeah, he owned up to it. He admits that he made a mistake, and he's been able to move past that. And he says all the right things. He does all the right things, which is way more important. And he's huge in the community. I'm a big Vernon Adams Jr. fan. And I think, that's one of those guys that I don't like to say certain people deserve a championship, because you have to earn it. You don't just deserve one just for doing some good things. But he'd be very close in that regard for me. Like, he's such a good person that I really want to see him win.
Agreed. You'd be hard to find someone in this league as a fan who would say Vernon Adams does not deserve a Grey Cup at some point in his career.
But the season kicks off on Thursday. We're going to do our picks right away, but let's talk really quickly. This Riders Elks game Saturday, now at 2 p.m., not at 5, because the Edmonton Oilers are a bunch of jerks. And game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. I hate the Oilers, man. So hopefully that's a bad day for Edmonton sports on Saturday. The Elks lose and the Oilers lose to the Florida Panthers.
Great decision by the CFL to move that game. No brainer.
TSN does not want to go up against the Edmonton Oilers on Sportsnet in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Absolutely
Because
not.
they're not going to win that at all. And this way, how many people would have had tickets to the Elks game and would just
not
give them
show
away
up.
and not show up because they're going to the watch party or whatever?
And honestly, the last thing the league wants to do is have a Rider game on TSN that nobody wants to watch because they're too busy watching the Oilers game. That's their big market. They need
day.
Yeah. Ugh. Hockey doesn't belong in June. To start their season earlier.
It was nice in at the beginning of May here. Well, what do you guys expect to see out of let's go on offense? Coach Mark Mueller, his first game calling plays here in Riderville. What do you think we're going to see out of the offense this week to start the year against the Elks?
Something that we haven't seen in the last few years out of an offensive coordinator, and a heavy dose of AJ Willett. We've been calling for a heavy run game for the last couple of seasons with who we had in the backfield, and it never came. I think Mueller's smart enough to understand that you need that running game to keep defenses honest. I expect 20 plus carries from Willett alone, let alone your average sweeps and everything that goes along with it. It's going to be fun to watch.
And the nice thing about it, if you have a decent running game, you're going to have that deep. You can open up that deep ball, and I think you're going to see Trevor Harris be able to find his MLSs, his KSBs, his Keyshawn Johnsons. I'm very excited for what this offense could look like.
I think to start the game, we're going to see a lot of, at least in the passing game, short passes.
Yep.
Get the ball out of Trevor Harris's hands quick, get him comfortable, get him confident, and then let your offensive line build from there. And they can get their confidence. Then they can pass protect a little bit better. We saw in the preseason that their pass protection was actually pretty decent. The starting unit was anyway. But it was their run blocking that wasn't very good. I don't expect that to continue, like the run blocking part of it. I expect the run blocking to be good. But I'm interested to see how they use that run game and the type of plays they're calling. Is it going to just be that shotgun draw up the middle on first down that we're going to see every single time? I hope not. I hope they can mix it up. I hope Coach Mueller we saw a toss. I was excited because there was a toss in one of the preseason games. Just little wrinkles like that. And then the short passing game, just kind of as an extension of the run game. Hitch screens, get the balls to your receivers right away and let them make plays. We have some big time playmakers on this offense. Just get them the ball and they'll make things happen. And then gradually as the game moves on, that's when you can start, taking your shots when you get your one-on-one, on the outside and let KSB go up, use his size, let Sam Emelis go up and his big playmaking abilities that we saw last year. So I'm just really interested to see how they attack the game progressing. And then obviously just keeping Trevor Harris healthy. Like it's all about that. I mean, you can say that about every team. Keeping your starting quarterback healthy is number one, but especially with the issues that they've had here and an older, not mobile quarterback. Like I'm sure there's some interesting wrinkles in the playbook to get that ball out right away and really move the ball. And they've all said it all off season, especially in training camp here on offense. They like this playbook that Mark Mueller has. They really, really like what they have. and really curious to see what that looks like.
I just want to see what Mark Mueller can do without Dave Dickinson. Like, there's going to be a difference between Mark Mueller running his playbook than Mark Mueller running Dave Dickinson's playbook. So I want to see him without the handcuffs on. Let's see what he can do.
All I know is I'm not going to get excited about the offensive playbook week 1. I made that mistake last year. We all did, especially after that 2-point convert play where they wowed us. We thought we were going to get a year full of exciting plays and interesting looks, and it just kind of stopped.
Well, that
After
touchdown by
week
Darrell
one.
Walker was such a great
Right?
route.
Sorry,
Right?
that's
And we
the one
never
I
saw
meant,
that
yeah.
again the rest of the year.
Yep. Yeah, in my head it was a 2-point convert because it was so close to the end zone. But yeah, like it's just I'm not going to get myself too. Who am I kidding? I'm going to be King Homer week 2 if things look great. But I'm going to tell myself now that's not what I'm going to do.
Okay, well, let's flip to the defense. Does Marcus Sales get in right away? Do we think he's going to start this game?
Week 1, he's in. Like he's going to be in this week. He has to be. I'd be shocked if he wasn't.
You don't bring a guy like him in if you're not planning on starting him right away.
Yeah, I'm with you guys there. I think Amari Henderson, who was limited, as we mentioned, he'll be one of those guys that gets put on the 1-game injured list. So it only makes sense to have a guy like Sales you can get in. I'm really curious how that defensive backfield is going to look because they still have to probably move, besides Henderson, another guy onto an injured list or stash him somehow. So who's that going to be? Is that going to be Deontay Williams? Is Nelson Lacombo still the plan to start at cornerback? They have the flexibility to be able to start 9 Canadians if they wanted. I don't know if they're going to go that high in week 1 here. Maybe they go with 8. But I'm again, this is just, we've had 1 day of practice or 2 days of practice. There's going to be a closed one coming up, and then they travel on Friday. So we won't know until Friday when the depth charts are released what this is actually going to look like. So to me, there's still some question marks, but be interesting to see how they work that ratio. I don't think we'll see. I mean, maybe we do see 3 Canadian receivers, but there's lots of options, which is good for this team.
Your Canadian
There's no
depth in
such
CFL is the most important part you have. So if you have that flexibility, use it because injuries happen and you go from there. But yeah, I don't think we're going to get 3 Canadians at receiver this week, but I've seen crazier things.
I think with the guys that they've kept around, your Keyshawn Johnson, your Jarrett Stearns, obviously you've got God, my brain is gone. Sean Bain Jr. There's gonna be 3 Canadian looks on occasion, but they've got such flexibility and such depth that I don't think we're gonna see 7 or 8 or 9 consistent Canadian starters. It's gonna be a rotation. You're gonna see these guys coming in and out, and it's gonna be fun to watch. But I don't see us going 9 off the bat. That's too much.
I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, really interested to see how the defense, especially on the D line, attack McLeod Bethel Thompson, because in that preseason game, I know it was the Riders' backups playing on defense against MBT, but they got 0 pressure against him. They got to be creative with blitzes. They're going to have a huge rotation on that D line, keeping guys fresh. And if they can get consistent pressure, maybe not necessarily resulting in sacks, but just getting there, altering throws, then that's going to be a huge key to this game, is just a guy coming back to the CFL, brand new team, new teammates, keep his rhythm off. If you can get that going, then I think that's going to be a huge success for the defense. And hopefully Brett Lawther has his early season struggles behind him, because I think this is going to be a fairly close game. So they need him. He was limited in practice.
Hip.
Yeah. So they need him to be ready to go.
The fact that your kicker is limited and you don't have anybody taking kicks behind him not to go back to an argument from last week, but that's absolutely ridiculous. Questionable. That might be the first questionable decision I think I've seen from this management team this offseason is to leave him out there and potentially injured with no backup is.
But that also shows
It's
me
scary.
that they're confident in him, that he's good to go. There's the King Homer side of it.
And I mean, they're obviously if they were worried that he wouldn't be, they would be bringing somebody in. You'd think, but even to take some stress off his leg while he's getting there seems like the right way to go. But there's a reason why I talk about football for fun, and they get paid to do it. So,
All right. Well,
we're not getting paid.
well, you're not. I mean, neither am I, but well, there's only one thing left to do here, and that's make our picks for the week. Greg, I hope you have I haven't seen any.
The website I usually use is changed, so we're just going to go by what they opened at.
Okay. So I don't know what the spreads are. I don't know if Steve's looked at them or not, but we'll learn them together and we'll make our picks based off that. So the season starts on Thursday with a Grey Cup rematch. Montreal at Winnipeg.
This line blows my mind. I'm telling you, right? This line blows my mind.
I'm going to say like Winnipeg 9.5.
I'm gonna go Winnipeg 6.5.
-6. The
Winnipeg at home week 1. That doesn't surprise me.
This disrespect will make Cody Fajardo swear again.
Oh, we don't want that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't like him when he's angry.
No. I like Montreal to cover. Winnipeg might win, but I like Montreal to cover.
I think Winnipeg wins this one. Just they're still that veteran team. They don't need a lot of gelling week 1. Honestly, I don't even think Sean Lemon would bet on the Alouettes this week.
Better yourself.
Oh, yeah, I'm with Steve. I'll take Winnipeg outright in this one. They'll win by 6 or 6.5 or more. Game 2, Hamilton at Calgary. It's the first time Bo Levi Mitchell plays his former team because the CFL schedule makers sucked last year and didn't allow that to happen. I'm going to guess that it's Calgary -2.5.
I'm going to guess it's Hamilton -4.
Hamilton -2.
Calgary sucks. They're not the Calgary of the last 25 years. This is the year they're more likely to go 0-18 than Ryan's 18-0. They are going to be bad.
Like I said in my power rankings, they have a lot of good individuals. They're just a badly constructed team. Hamilton outright.
Hamilton.
Jake Mayer is the starting quarterback for this game, right?
Yep.
Hamilton outright. Game 3 is the Riders at Elks on Sunday. I think I saw somewhere or heard somewhere Edmonton's the favorite. I'm going to go. I don't know what it is. I'll say 3.5.
Yeah, I would say 2.5. Oh, there we go.
That's what they opened. I've actually seen it flipped at 3.5 somewhere else. So if you shop around, you can find odds you want to find.
Riders outright.
Yep. Riders by more than a touchdown.
Riders outright, but I will gladly take the odds as the underdog just to sweeten that bet.
I would probably take the under on this game too, honestly, if we're looking at, I don't even know what that is, but I'll take the under.
Actually, I can pull that up. Give me 2 seconds. It is 46.
Yeah. 20 something to 16. Yep. Give me something like that. And the final game on Sunday, BC at Toronto. My guess is BC by 3.
I'm going to say BC by 6.5.
So close. 6.
Twice. One day I'll get my own ding. Today is not that
One day. Today is not the day. BC outright, spread points, whatever you want to say. BC's gonna lay the boots to him.
Toronto's gonna have growing pains with Cameron Dukes. He's not Chad Kelly, good and bad. I think BC wins by double digits.
Yeah, for basically what Steve said, unknown about Cameron Dukes. Yeah, BC to cover that for sure.
Future Riders starting quarterback Cameron Dukes.
So this website I use actually tells me like where's the best value bet. BC's favored everywhere, but it's between -5, -11.
That's a big difference.
That's a huge swing.
Wow.
Saskatchewan actually their best odds are +2 and their worst ones are -3.5. So that's still a 7.5 point swing. Like I love week 1 in the CFL, especially wagering wise, because the numbers are all over the map. No one
You
knows.
can see why you're a Rider.
No one
fan.
knows.
2.5 to 3.5. That is definitely not a 7-point swing.
No, 2 + 2 to -3.5. Okay, that's 5.5. Never mind. I still can't do math.
Yeah.
I still can't do math.
It's like you're not making it any better. In fact, you somehow managed to make it worse.
I made it worse. I know.
You are Chris Jones building a football roster right now.
I am right now. Yes. Thank you. Well,
Can't find you handsome. They should at least find you handy. But that doesn't seem to be your forte either, Greg. Sorry.
no. Damn it.
Well, it's we're here. CFL week 1. I'm excited. 4 straight days of football, and kudos to the schedule makers for doing this. I think it's the first 6 weeks of the schedule are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we got football for more than half the week. That makes me happy.
I wish they would do. I realize they'll never do that. Once NFL kicks up, but I love the game of night, and they need to continue it as long as possible. Yes, please. Can we find a way to get football 7 days a week? Have the backups play a game on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Find some
Battle
put on
of the practice
skills
squad.
competitions. Yeah,
The better the practice team.
I take Chris Jones teams in that one.
Yeah, how many does he have? He wins just off sheer amount. All right. Well, we'll see what happens this year in the CFL. We put our picks down. Feel free to bookmark those and tell us later in the year how idiotic
right
we
we are.
are. Yeah,
Oh, right.
how terrible we are at doing this. But it's fun. So
Is it?
well, we killed almost an hour and a half doing it. So
That's still not 2 hours.
that's just too much. I think we should leave it there. Next week we'll talk about the Riders Elks. We'll break down game 1, and then we'll look ahead to game 2 in Hamilton, which actually is on Father's Day, I think, the Sunday. So nice way to spend the afternoon with Dad if you can. Throw on the game and have a barbecue. That's a perfect way to do it. But we'll do that next week, and we'll leave it there. Piffles Podcast, brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sass Drive here in Regina, right next to Mosaic Stadium. Special thanks as well to Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty and Churchill Brewing Company for their support making this show possible. Thanks for watching on YouTube or SaskTel Max TV on demand. We appreciate that. Hope you enjoyed the show and listening wherever you find your podcasts. This is Tyler Gilbert, Ghost Behind Your Mind.